Hey guys, so today I want to talk about the Yetzer Hara. But before I do that, I'd like to thank today's fake sponsor. Today's fake sponsor is erectioniq.com. Is your penis broken? Would you like to fix it with your mind instead of seeing a real doctor? Go to erectioniq.com. Let me know how that goes. So let's talk about the Yetzer Hara. Everyone hates the Yetzer Hara. But I want to explain what the Yetzer Hara is and why it's actually one of the better things that has ever happened to us. The Yetzer Hara being the evil inclination, that little devil that tells you to do bad stuff or avoid doing good stuff. Imagine a king who wants his son to win, the prize of all prizes. And in order to do so, he says, "Son, I'm going to test you." But he doesn't tell his son. He just goes out and hires a prostitute. And the prostitute has a task, as she's hired by the king, to seduce the son. Now, the king doesn't want his son to falter, right? He wants him to not be seduced. The prostitute wants to do the king's job because the king told her to do it, but even she doesn't want the prince to fail because that's the king's son, and the king doesn't want his son to fail. But the prostitute has to try as hard as she possibly can to do her job because that's what she was hired to do by the king. So there's this push and pull. The Yetzer Hara in our lives is the prostitute. The king is God, and we're the prince. Now, the Yetzer Hara was hired by God in order to make us falter. And why does God want that? So that we can overcome and not falter. But at the same time, the Yetzer Hara's job is to do what she was hired to do. So the Yetzer Hara fights and gets pretty sneaky about what it does in order to win, because that's what it was hired to do and it's working for the king. So the Yetzer Hara wants us to succeed, just like Hashem wants us to succeed. But at the same time, the Yetzer Hara has to try to mess with us. If you think about it though, the Yetzer Hara is our biggest cheerleader. Because if there was no Yetzer Hara, what would the point of all of this be, right? If we were just gifted the lottery all the time, we would never be able to earn our living. And there's something to that. And Hashem created a system in order for us to overcome and merit the rewards that he wants to give us and not just gift it to us, right? He could have built the system differently. He could have said, the system is, I just gift you everything all the time and you work for nothing. But he didn't, so he had to give us a way to actually beat the video game. How do we do that? By overcoming. Now, a common misconception is that while we're doing good things, if the Yetzer Hara comes to us and tries to mess with us, for example, let's say you're praying and the Yetzer Hara comes and starts to say something and starts giving you all these wacky thoughts and you're like, how terrible am I that in the middle of my prayers I'm thinking about these ridiculous things, or I'm thinking bad about someone, or I'm thinking about inappropriate things. Look how weak I am that I can't even focus on praying for 3 minutes without, being caught up by the Yetzer Hara. Most people take that to mean that they're failing. What you don't realize, and I didn't realize this for a long time, is that the Yetzer Hara fights harder when you're winning. Imagine a tug of war. You're pulling this rope. If you're just kind of holding on to the rope and not fighting, the other side doesn't have to pull. But if you're really going after it hard and the other side's going to lose, they're going to call in reinforcements. And that's exactly how the Yetzer Hara works. The more you do, the more the prostitute feels like she has to work harder in order to not let the king down, because that's what she was hired to do, even though she wants you to succeed. But the Yetzer Hara does the same thing. If you're sitting around davening, the Yetzer Hara might come to you with some pretty inappropriate thoughts during your davening. All that is validation. The Yetzer Hara is validating that you're winning the battle. So instead of taking it as a sign that you're not worthy or that you're not good enough, take it as a sign that you're actually winning the battle. Use it as validation to keep fighting whatever that fight is. Whether it's praying or Torah learning and your phone is buzzing, the Yetzer Hara can get pretty sneaky. The Yetzer Hara can come to you and make you think that you are doing something or you're not doing something for righteous reasons, even though really that's not what you should be doing, and you shouldn't be thinking that altogether. For example, some people might pray and say, well, you know what? I'm having these bad thoughts, so I'm going to skip most of davening and just focus on as much prayer as I can for 1 minute. The Yetzer Hara wants you to think that you're doing that for righteous reasons, so that you don't have these, negative thoughts during prayers. But, you're going to feel great about it. Like, look how righteous I am that I refuse to have inappropriate thoughts during prayers. But really, it's disguising itself because it's sneaky and it knows it can't tell you, hey, you're doing great, right? It can't tell you, oh, you're winning the battle. So it comes in all different forms. So next time you're praying or next time you're doing something positive and you start getting these, errant thoughts about maybe not doing it or about inappropriate things, think about it and use it as fuel. Use it as fuel in your fight to do positive action, to do mitzvahs, and to learn Torah. Understand that if you're getting those thoughts during, it doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're winning more than you ever were before, and now you can redouble your efforts to really stick it to the Yetzer Hara. With that, have a good one.